Go Login is the best browser for multi-accounting. Go Login is anti-detect browser for creating and running multiple social media accounts.
Took a bit of a break, but we're back. 3:44 a.m. Second video for the day. No problems, man. No problems. I like doing these things. But all right, today in this video we're gonna be dealing. Let's look at our thing right here. So we've done 1, we've done 2, we've done 3. Number 4, intro storyline. #2. Okay, rejection specifics. There isn't too much about rejection that we're gonna be talking about, but I am gonna give you guys an entire storyline for how I stacked these cells. Okay, so this, right? How I took it up here, took that one, etc., etc. You get the point. Okay, so that's the first thing. I want to show you guys this storyline, how this worked, what was going through my head, just so you guys can identify what I thought you guys in the previous video. And then I'm going to teach you guys a little terminology, a little piece of terminology that I came up with. It's called inbred closure. I wanted to name it Alabama closing. That's what I wanted to name it, but I was like, okay, Alabama inbred. I don't want to take down an entire state. Let's talk about inbred closure. Okay, so what inbred closure is basically when price closes oddly, right? Price doesn't close all too nicely. Like this example right here, right? We have ourselves the daily reject daily, H4 breakout. You know, you're trying to sell in here, but boom, price just comes up. It just rams through this entire thing. And yet I held the sell. Now, when you guys listen to what I'm about to say in this video, you're gonna think like, oh man, Avi, but that's not so rules based though, right? And you would be partially correct. There are rules to determine these things. There are rules to deal with these things, but a lot of it comes from repetitively experiencing these phenomenons in the market. And then at that point, you just, after a certain amount of times, you get so comfortable with it. You know what I'm trying to say? And then you know, oh, this could happen, so I need to do this. So this was a little thing that I learned before. Always have 2 plans. And it's funny because I recently started combat sports and I first started with jiu-jitsu, and the first thing they said with jiu-jitsu is always have 2 plans. The first plan, which is your initial reaction, and if that one goes south, how are you going to counter that? And it's funny because I learned having that 2-plan methodology from forex before I even started with combat sports, which is just interesting. I just wanted to share that little thing with you, right? Always have a plan A and have a plan B if things go south. And that's going to help your mental as well. That's going to help your psychology tenfold, okay? Because you're going to be so comfortable that, okay, if I've planned this, I've planned for X to happen, but even if Y happens, I can react just like that, quick. Okay, so let me talk about it. Let me go straight into it. First of all, I want to elaborate on storyline. Now, a quick revision on the previous video. Before we get into this, quick revision on the previous video. What are the 2 ways that you can enter a trade, all right, based on a storyline? So, first way based on a storyline is when you confirm the storyline. How do you confirm a storyline? Again, let's take the example of weekly, because that will be very common, right? Let's take the example of weekly bearish, okay? No, let's take the example of weekly bullish. Okay, how do you confirm weekly bullish storyline? Weekly, reject weekly, support, correct? So that's the first one. Let's talk about that. Now I want you guys to think about this while I'm typing it. Okay, weekly bullish storyline. My question is very simple, guys. How do you confirm a weekly bullish storyline? Weekly reject, weekly support. Okay, second thing, breakout, or rather bullish breakout, 1 time frame above. One time frame below. Okay, so that's what? In this case, it'll be daily. So weekly reject, weekly support. Okay, that's done. Bullish breakout, 1 time frame below. Again, this can be preferred method. Okay, preferred method will be how? Daily breakout as a result of weekly rejection. That's the preferred way. Alternatively, okay, daily breakout. I can't type, bro, it's way too late. Daily breakout through the process. So we'll just say through the process in the coming days. Let's say in the coming days. Okay, so it's not like weekly reject weekly and then as a result of that, so like, okay, so let's say we have week 1 and then we have week 2. So let's say week 1 has already closed and now you're at week 2 Monday or Tuesday and you're like, okay, what happened on week 1? Oh, week 1 weekly rejected weekly support. Okay, and as a result of the weekly reject weekly support, once it closed, daily made a breakout. That's the preferred way, right? So weekly reject weekly support, daily made a bullish breakout. Okay, alternatively, weekly reject weekly support, daily doesn't do anything, or maybe it just creates a little support, but that's not a break, so we can't confirm that as a weekly bullish storyline. But then during the time of the week 2, we have a daily bullish break. That's also considered, but it's not preferred, but it's also absolutely valid to say, oh, weekly bullish storyline has indeed started. Okay, so these are the two ways, two ways that a weekly bullish storyline can start. Two ways it can start. Okay, first way is the preferred way, weekly reject, weekly support. Daily just breaks out as a result of the weekly reject, weekly support. Number 2, weekly reject, weekly support. No breakout happens on the daily on the first week as a result of the weekly reject, weekly. There's no daily breakout. But during the second week, maybe nothing Monday, maybe nothing Tuesday. Oh, Wednesday does a daily breakout. Then Thursday you can say, oh, because Wednesday does the breakout, Thursday you can say, all right, weekly bullish storyline has started. These are the two ways, okay? There's a preferred way, there's a more optimal way, and then there's a alternative way. So again, there's a preferred way and there's an alternative way. Let me add some spacing in here so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. Okay, we're gonna put that right there. Now, the second thing, remember what I added at the end? The ending of the previous video. It's a very long video, so I hope you guys caught on. The ending of the previous video, what did I tell you? The two ways that you can look for entries, correct? Now again, I'm not going into entry specifics, but I'm talking about what are the two ways you can enter a trade. So, two ways to enter a trade in weekly bullish storyline. Am I right? So now we are dealing with weekly bullish storyline. The reason I keep saying weekly bullish is because the previous video we talked about weekly bearish. So I want to invert your mind real quick, okay? So, first way to enter trade in weekly bullish storyline. What's the first way? Simply daily support. So we'll say daily supports created after daily breakout. So why do I say after daily breakout? Avi, now you're confusing the hell out of me. What do I mean by daily supports created after daily breakout? Do you remember that to conclude that there's a weekly bullish storyline, we must have a daily bullish breakout? Okay, let me say that again. I know you guys like me to speak slow. Okay. Do you remember that for a weekly storyline to be bullish, there must be a daily bullish breakout? You remember that? There must be daily bullish breakout when weekly storyline becomes bullish, correct? Okay. That daily breakout will create new supports to form. Let me say that again. Weekly reject weekly. Avi, how do I know it's weekly bullish storyline? I'll tell you. Weekly reject weekly. Daily does a breakout, either as a result of the weekly reject weekly or the alternative way, which is in the process of the second, third week. Okay, so again, weekly reject weekly, daily bullish breakout. Once the daily bullish breaks out, there is a bunch of new supports created. Maybe the new support is in the form of an apex, right? Sell by, it's just a support. Extreme, origin point, whatever. Maybe it's in the form of a left shoulder. Maybe it's in the form of a resistance break becomes support, right? Which is known as a breaker block for ICT guys out there. Maybe it's in the form of just a simple open close, right? Whatever the case is, very simple. What I'm telling you is once weekly rejects weekly and daily does a breakout, which means you say, oh, weekly bullish storyline, right? That was a bit of a loud, oh, hope it didn't wake up my neighbors, right? So weekly reject weekly, daily bullish breakout. As a result of the daily bullish breakout, there's a bunch of new supports that have been created. Those new supports that have been created, we can go and enter from that. Daily supports created after daily breakout. Okay, so again, now let's talk about that. Two ways to enter a trade in weekly bullish storyline. Daily supports, we can enter from the daily supports that have been created after the daily breakout. So we can say daily supports that have been created after daily breakout. Okay, that's the first way, right? Second way is what? Second way is the higher risk way. This will be low to medium risk, we'll call it. Okay, why? Why low to medium risk? Why low to medium risk? Because the daily has already broken out. Okay, this is wrong. Two ways to enter a trade in weekly setup. Okay, weekly setup means what? What does weekly setup mean? Weekly setup means this. Now we're getting a little bit more advanced for you guys. That's why I made a mistake there because I'm still talking about beginner stage. So I'm getting a bit advanced for you guys. A setup means this. Means two possible entries. hate that I'm going too advanced, but it's going to help the other advanced people out there. First way, entry at significant zone based on storyline. Number two, entry before storyline starts. Now, okay, there's a lot of writing on here and a whole not much of examples, but don't worry, we'll get to it. Setup. What does a setup mean? Two possible entries. You can enter at the significant zone based on a storyline, and you can enter before the storyline starts. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, setup. Entry at significant zone based on storyline means what? Weekly bullish storyline has already been confirmed. Okay, weekly bullish storyline has already been confirmed. So where's your entry points going to be at? What's the significant zone? Daily, correct? So you'll be looking at your dailies. That's the first way. Second way, entry before storyline starts is the one I talked about in the previous video, where you have a weekly reject weekly, and then you look at the result of that. You look at the result of the weekly reject weekly on the daily, correct? Remember, weekly reject weekly, then you look at the daily, right? But on the daily, there's no breakout. So weekly reject weekly, daily no breakout. But daily, okay, so let's say this is bearish, right? Weekly reject weekly, daily no breakout. Weekly reject weekly, but on the daily, there's a new resistance formed, right? So again, I don't know if I can find you guys an example right now. I really don't know whether I can or not, but let's see if we can. Let's just see if there's like any example I can just show you guys right now. It's kind of rare to find those. So I'm not really sure. I'm just trying to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe this guy may give us something. See this open close with an engulfing, so weekly reject weekly. Let's see what happens on the daily. Okay, brilliant example. All right, so if we were to look at this, oh no, I don't think this is a valid example still. No, it's not. Oh no, it is. Okay, cool. Okay, so look, weekly reject weekly, right? Weekly reject weekly. This line delineates when the new week starts. So we ignore everything on this line and forward, okay? Only look at what is the candles before this line. Weekly reject weekly. Then what? We go to daily, right? So look, this candle and this new week is when it broke the structure, but we're still on the first week. Remember, we ignore everything on the line and forward because that's a part of the new week. Okay. So this week, weekly reject weekly, and it closed here, this candle. Closed on this candle here. See, we still haven't broken this structure. See, we never broke the structure. It's just formed a daily sell. Weekly reject weekly, no daily breakout. Weekly reject weekly, just a new fresh resistance. Yes, it didn't work out, but I'm trying to give you guys an example here. I'm not trying to show you guys what worked out or what didn't work out. I'm trying to give you guys an example here. Okay, so this will be the area you can enter. This is the second way to enter, which is exactly why it is considered, where the hell did I write it? Higher risk. Okay, it is considered higher risk. Weekly reject weekly, just a new support created, or new resistance in this case created. That's it. Okay, so two ways to enter a trade in a weekly setup. Daily supports that have been created after the daily breakout. So weekly reject weekly, daily bullish breakout, right? Weekly reject weekly support, daily bullish breakout. We're looking at buys here, guys. Listen, weekly reject weekly, daily bullish breakout. As a result of the daily bullish breakout, we have ourselves new daily support zones created. Second way is what? It's a setup we're talking about. Okay, so this is already confirmed as a weekly bullish storyline. Why? Because it's a daily breakout, right? But the second way, there's no confirmed storyline. You want to get a trade in early. So weekly reject weekly, just a new just a new daily support forms, and you take a trade from there, right? You can use multi-time frame. To enter this trade. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. Weekly reject weekly, and there's a new daily here, right? So then what you do, you get your line. Again, I said it's better line. So there's your daily, you look for an MTF. Daily, go to H4, H4, go to H1, and then you enter a trade like that. That will be your MTF method. Again, as I said, this one failed to work, but I'm trying to give you guys an example here. Okay? So again, when you're learning, don't focus on whether it worked or it didn't work. Focus on the examples. Okay, so now I've explained, what have I explained to you? I've elaborated on the storyline. I've revised with you guys how the storyline can start. First way is the preferred way. Weekly reject weekly, right? Bullish breakout, one time frame below, which is daily. So in weekly reject weekly, daily bullish breakout. Okay? Second way you can start is weekly reject weekly, and then the daily breaks out in accordance, you know what I mean? In the process, right? Okay, so we've revised the previous video. Second thing I've added in here is that there are two possible entries for a setup. Okay, the first way you can enter is based on a storyline. You can enter based on a storyline. So there's a current monthly storyline. Let's take monthly. Fine. Make your brain work, guys. Don't be lazy. Let's say we take monthly. Monthly reject monthly resistance. Okay, listen to my words. Monthly reject monthly resistance. We look at weekly. Weekly has done a bearish breakout. Okay, monthly reject monthly, weekly has done a bearish breakout, and because of that bearish breakout, the weekly has weekly support become resistance, weekly left shoulder, weekly apex. We mark 3 of these zones. Maybe in your rule book it says we don't take SBR RBS. Okay, so that means all we have is monthly reject monthly, weekly bearish breakout. As a result of the weekly bearish breakout, we have weekly left shoulder, we have weekly apex. We mark weekly left shoulder, we mark weekly apex. We wait for price to come back inside and we multi-time frame it. So weekly, daily, H4, H1, we enter both those areas according to that way. That is one medium to high risk way. Another way we can enter, now I'm already stepping into entries here, guys, so pay attention if you want to get ahead of the class here, if you want to call it that, right? So what do we have? Monthly reject monthly, a weekly bearish breakout. We draw 2 lines at weekly left shoulder, draw another line at weekly apex, right? So like this. Okay, we draw first line here, boom, we draw another line here. This is weekly. Okay, god damn. All right, and in here the first way we multi-time frame it. So weekly, daily, H1, H1, or find whatever multi-time frames are there. We just enter a limit. Same thing here. Second way is price comes inside here and we wait for a weekly reject weekly and see whether a daily does a new thing. Same thing here. So that's the first way. Enter at a significant zone based on the storyline. So for example, if we're dealing with daily, right? We're dealing with daily, what's it going to be? Daily reject daily, H4 bearish breakout, for example. So I'm dealing with number 1, okay? The first entry setup. Daily reject daily, H4 bearish breakout. H4 bearish breakout forms a H4 left shoulder and H4 apex. We take the H4 left shoulder, take the H4 apex, see if there's any H1s in there. Boom, we enter just like that. What's the second way? Second way is entry before the storyline starts. So I'll give you another example. Daily, reject, daily. We look at the H4 for any breakout, but no breakout. Okay, daily reject, daily resistance, H4 no breakout. But daily reject, daily resistance, H4 just creates a resistance. Just like this one here. Buy, sell. Just a buy, sell candle, that's it. As a result of the daily reject daily. That will be your second possible entry, but it's higher risk. Okay, so yeah, pretty much that's what I wanted to say. This will be considered actually more so high risk in my opinion. Why high risk? Because storyline hasn't started. Why hasn't the storyline started? Because H4 hasn't broken out. Okay, the first way we're entering is because H4 broke out, which confirms the daily bearish storyline. Better risk, better for you. Okay, lower risk. Second way is daily reject daily. The daily storyline hasn't even freaking started as bearish, but the H4 just creates a nice bearish resistance. That's it, and you enter from there. It's valid. It's absolutely valid. Okay, so yes, this is my elaboration on the storyline. Now, how many minutes are we in? 20 minutes ish. Oh, sorry, 18 minutes. I'm blind. All right, I'm gonna keep this here. I want you guys to pause this video, write this in here. Now we're gonna deal with this entire thing here. First thing I did is this. Okay, now watch this. Freaking powerful. Watch this. Monthly. Okay, monthly. First thing I did was this. Realize here we broke. We have ourselves a support become resistance. That's the first thing. But second thing I notice is open close. I'm telling you exactly what I saw. So don't say, oh, but Avi, there's this and that. I'm telling you what I saw at that time. Open close right here. Right with the engulfing. Here's a engulfing break, right? We have a bullish engulfing, sell, buy candle, right? This bullish candle engulfed the sell candle, and then it breaks. And I told you that engulfing candles in the same area as the OHLC is the best. Okay, cool. Monthly, I went back to weekly. Now weekly, I said, oh, we can refine. So I went and refined. Obviously, it didn't reach, right? But I just keep that at the back of my head. Oh, monthly, I know there's a zone here. Monthly, weekly, I know there's a zone above. Okay, I go daily. Daily, I'm like, ooh, there's a daily MTF. Monthly, so this is the first area I'm going to pay attention to. I drew my line like that. I drew my line like this. Obviously, only one of them hit. I'm telling you what I did on that day. So what I did was very simple. If I'm not wrong, I took an entry at the top. I can't remember, but I definitely took this entry 100%. I'll show you how I did both. So first entry I did was a high risk entry. How did I do this high risk entry? Why did I do this high risk entry? The reason I did this high risk entry is because we have a monthly MTF daily resistance. Why monthly MTF daily resistance? Because this line here comes from the monthly, and inside that monthly we have a daily. It also happens to be convenient that there's the daily exactly in the same pip with the monthly. It can be above, it can be below, doesn't matter, but it's still considered MTF, correct? Okay, I'm paying attention here. Now, all I did was very simple. It's daily, right? How did I do my first entry? H4. Okay, H4, I'm looking here. I'm looking here. Forget whatever happens here, just so you know I'm not cheating you guys. Forget whatever happens on the right hand side. I'm looking here. It looks like a cluster F, right? Now look. Buy, sell, buy, sell. I'm just marking it first, bro. I mark first and I think later. Mark this bad boy. Just like that. Okay, cool. Now, what else I'm marking? I'm marking this buy, sell, buy. Okay, this is a support. Boom, breaks becomes resistance. Mark this here first. Okay, no, we'll extend it later. Right? I'm not trying to do anything weird. Okay, and we also have this. What is this? Left shoulder. Buy, sell, break, up, down. Okay, seems confusing, I know. Skinny these guys out. Shove them there. Shove this here. Okay, what is this top one? The top one, you know what it is. We can delete it, don't worry, but you can understand. This is how I mark my zones, right? Why this is in the MTF of the monthly and daily. This is high risk, mind you. High risk. No rejection has occurred. No nothing has occurred. It's high risk. Okay, so anyway, that's how I mark it. I just want to get rid of that so it looks a bit cleaner for you guys. What have I marked here? H4 left shoulder, MTF with the daily monthly, H4 SBR, support break become resistance, MTF with the monthly daily or daily monthly, whichever is the same thing. Okay, if you wish to, you can go lower time frame, see what's in there. Hopefully we can go there. Yes, we can. Okay, so I see over here, okay, we have an SBR on the H1. Over here, there's nothing else at the top here. We can refine to the tops, but we will have a lot of things to deal with, right? Now, I use some trend lines and things like that as well. And I got this area. I don't know what trend line exactly I used, to be very frank with you guys. Maybe something like this, or maybe something like this, I think. Maybe. I don't know. You can see that touch right there. Trend line. A trend line is very, very subjective, by the way. Hey, is it subjective or objective? No, objective means it's a rule. Subjective means it's up to your own perception. Correct. So subjective. Trend lines are incredibly subjective. If I'm not wrong, I did something like this. Okay. And you can see how the monthly, you can see how, if I were to just delete this real quick, right? This is the zone H1, MTF H4. Let me show you the H4. Right? H1, MTF H4, and you know the daily monthly, right? You know the whole daily monthly deal, right? H4, MTF, H1, MTF H4, MTF daily, MTF monthly. So you don't bother about all of that. It's just there's a bunch of stuff in there. It's MTF'd. You know what I mean? It's MTF'd. Okay. And so that was another area. And I just want to put a confluence because there's so many, bro. There's like so many freaking ones over here. So I'm like, let me pick a confluence. And I also understood at the back of my mind, hold on, this is a high risk trade. Okay. So when you're doing a high risk trade, your whole break even methodology is going to be different. You know, your lot size, meaning your risk, is going to be different, things like that. So when I go into a high risk entry, it's not a gamble. I've calculated everything beforehand. So I take that right here. Okay. And you know, once it's a certain amount of pips, I put it to break even. So with a high risk trade, it's usually about 30 to 50 pips. And then I put it into break even because it's high risk. I don't mind if I lose the trade because I know if I lose the high risk trade, I'll just get the other trade after the rejection happens. You know, now I'm having the trade in anticipation of the rejection happening, but the rejection hasn't happened yet. I'm taking the trade in anticipation that the rejection happens. You see what I'm trying to say? So yeah, so it's fine even if I hit my break even. I'll just catch it next time, no problem. So yes, that was the first entry, if you guys are wondering. And then now before we move on, you need to understand that there in this up place, you need to understand why I just went to the daily in the first place. Now you guys are like, wait, Avi, why did you even go to the daily in the first place? The reason I went to the daily in the first place is because of this. Let's look at the weekly. The weekly had not had any weekly bullish storyline whatsoever. See this is the up. Let me go to the daily and show you as well. This is the up. Let's go look at the daily, weekly. Is there any weekly bullish storyline whatsoever? Anything? See here. Anything? Did it touch anything? Anything fresher here? No, this is not fresh. Is it touched here? No, here, not fresh. This one is God knows what, daily probably. I think daily is a long time ago. What did this buy from? God knows. This one maybe? Nope, already unfresh from here. It just bought from the weekly. I know there'll be a bunch of traders out there. Oh, this locked level, blah blah nonsense. No, okay, it just bought. All right, and here's the deal. Here's the deal, right? The weekly storyline as of this uprise, the weekly storyline, right? As of this uprise was bearish, and I'll show you why. Not just because there's an absence of a weekly bullish that it's bearish, no, but because there was a weekly bearish. If I'm not wrong, it started over here or it started over here, and once it started over here, it never actually turned bullish. No, it turned bullish here. Weekly reject, weekly, daily breakout, right? Daily breakout, price went up. I'm not sure what it rejected from, but it came here, it broke the weekly bearish, and then I think the weekly bearish started from right here, guys. Or no, it started from right here. If you're wondering, I never took this trade. If I'm not wrong, at least I never took this trade. So it's not like I'm trying to do this in hindsight or something. It is hindsight because I never took the damn trade, right? So weekly reject, weekly, we had ourselves the breakout here, if I'm not wrong, right? Weekly reject, weekly, it's an odd breakout, it's still a breakout, it's still considered a breakout. Okay, so weekly reject, weekly, you're just looking for a breakout, and that's it. So this was where that breakout was, right? If you didn't catch that, over here. So weekly was bearish already. So if weekly is bearish, what are we looking at? Daily.
Go Login is the best browser for multi-accounting. Go Login is anti-detect browser for creating and running multiple social media accounts. Go Login is the best browser for multi-accounting. Go Login is anti-detect browser for creating and running multiple social media accounts.